I live on the outskirts of southwestern Seoul. I live on the outskirts of southwestern Seoul. Where I live is on the far west side of Seoul. Where I live is almost at the edge of Seoul, so it'll be correct if I said it lies on the border. It lies on the boundary. It lies on the dividing line between Seoul and Gyeonggi. And if I drive just a short distance from my place, I'll reach Gyeonggi shortly, in no time. It was when I got married with my wife less than 2 years ago when I moved here. It's not that we wish to live here, but it's just my parents own it. And suggested us to live here instead of bothering to look for a new house. Both of us should feel grateful that we could not only start our marriage conveniently, but also my parents were willing to save us deposit, which would have cost a big chunk of money. We live in a small apartment complex, which has 2 separate buildings which has 2 separate blocks, and the 4-story underground parking lot. And the 4-story underground parking lot, including a few parking slots, were parking spaces. Parking slots were parking spaces above ground or on the surface, including a few parking slots or parking spaces above ground or on the surface. While each household is allocated 1 parking slot, outsiders who are non-residents need to pay for parking. Unlike other apartment complexes which lack of enough parking space, we are lucky that we haven't had any parking issue. Every time we try to park, there's always a space, even though we occasionally have to drive all the way down to 4th floor. On each story, there are 4 apartments which are connected to a corridor. We live on the 6th floor at the end of the corridor.